Yeah.
Can I share the screen?
Please, yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yes. So next speaker is Suman Kundu, and will speak about bounds on reggae growth of flat space scattering from bounds on chaos from TIFR Mumbai. Suman, please.
Okay, so thank you for this opportunity. I have done this work in collaboration with Diksha Subham and Professor Siraj Minwala, and so today we'll ask the general question we are asking is how to classify all possible quantum S matrices. And we already know that string theory gives you multiple examples of such consistent scattering amplitudes, and because of various possible compactifications in string theory. So this makes the classification problem very difficult to pursue. But in classical limit, that is in G string goes to 0 limit, all these known consistent examples shows an universality structure in their answers, and all those answers reduces to only 3 options, and those are Einstein gravity, type 2 theory, and heterotic string theory. Now, looking at this fact, Chaudhary and collaborators has conjectured that these 3 are the only consistent gravitational S matrices satisfying some low energy constraints like factorization on poles and stability of vacuum and causality, and others also. But this is also very hard to show because you have 2 string theory options there. You can also further restrict to the constraint that you have finite number of poles and only consistent classical gravitational S matrices whose exchange poles are bounded in spin is only Einstein S matrix. So since we are excluding the infinite spin exchange, we will be only left with the Einstein gravity. So, but the previous conjectures only exclude or include some theories. But in this paper, the Chaudhary and collaborators have shown that in d less than equal to 6, the last conjecture, the conjecture 3, is indeed true, provided physically motivated constraint on S matrix is true. So they have named that as CRG conjecture or classical Regge growth conjecture. The statement of the conjecture is the S matrix of a consistent classical theory never grows faster than S square at fixed t, that is in the Regge limit, for all physical values of momentum and for all possible polarizations. Okay. So arguments for this CRG conjecture can be found in various places. For example, in Kaim's paper and also in chaos bound paper, and later it was discussed also in the sharp boundaries paper. These are the references. Today we will show that how chaos bound in the boundary gives rise to the CRG conjecture in the bulk. Okay, so we will be considering 4-point function, a tree level 4-point function for scalars and spinning particles in ADSD plus 1, and only generated from contact interactions. So since we are considering only 4-point function, this is our ADS cylinder, and this is the boundary, and P1 and P3 are inserted at diametrically opposite positions at time t is equal to tau, and P2 and P4 are also at same time t is equal to pi, but these P2 and P4 are also diametrically opposite, but P2, P4 and P1, P3 line has a relative angle theta. So in this diagram, you can see there are only 2 parameters, tau and theta, and those will be dictating our, those will be parameterizing our cross ratios. Okay. So now in this work we will fix our theta for some value, but we will be also concentrated. We will be also considering small theta limit, but we will be varying the tau from pi to 0. So let's start with tau is equal to pi. When tau is equal to pi, you can see P1, P2, P3, P4 both all 4 are at the same time. So that is the Euclidean configuration. Okay. And then you start from there, and then you decrease your tau from pi. Or you will reach a position, you will cross pi minus theta, and then you will reach a position where P1 and P4 are time lag related, and P2 and P3 are time lag related. Others are space lag. All other combinations are space lag related. So that is exactly the causally Regge configuration where the chaos bound is valid. Okay. So this is the place where chaos bound is valid. and you can take this P1 and P3 further down, that is you reduce your tau, and then if tau crosses theta, you come into this place. Okay, this is the configuration when tau is less than theta. So that is the place where P2 and P4 both are in causal future of P1 and P3. Okay, this is the causal scattering region where a bulk scattering can take place, since both the future particle are in the causal future domain of P1 and P3. So this is where our CRG will be valid. So we will be taking information from this chaos bound from this causal erasure configuration, and we will relate it to the CRG conjecture valid in the causal scattering region. Okay, so now here I will explain the rough sketch of the flow chart of the proof, how we have done this. So since we have said that tau and theta are the two parameters in our problem, we will be defining this parameter A, which is a ratio of this tau by theta. Okay, so A is related to this rho parameter, and the conventional cross ratios are Z and Z bar. We are taking sigma and rho instead of Z and Z bar, which has this simple relation. So and rho is related to A. So if A is, so as you said that if tau is less than theta, we are in the causal scattering. If tau is greater than theta, we are in the causal erasure. So that means A is greater than 1 is causal erasure, A is less than 1 is causal scattering. Okay, so A is equal to 1 is the light cone, there is a light cone singularity, and you have to cross light cones if you cross A is equal to 1. Now, what we have done, that we have taken that 4-point function for spinning particles, and we have calculated that in sigma goes to zero limit. Sigma is one of the cross ratios. You take sigma goes to zero limit. This is conventionally known as Regge limit. Okay, so if you take sigma goes to zero limit in the in the 4-point function, you will be exploring the Regge limit for fixed rho. So you can show that for both the configurations. So these configurations are parameterized by rho, but sigma can be taken to 0 in both the configurations, and you can see that the form of the function remains same. That is, the sigma behavior remains same, but there is a change in the function for causal scattering or causal erasure. Okay, so this rho function changes, but we have shown that these two functions are analytically related. So you can define a grand function in the for any complex A in the upper up plane, and you can relate these two functions as a limit of that grand function as a limit from the above, and you have to approach the real axis. Okay. Now in the second step, instead of sigma goes to zero limit, we will take rho goes to zero limit first. Okay, that will access the bulk point limit. So in the bulk point limit, we know there a bulk point singularity arises in the causal scattering. So since we are taking A goes to zero limit or rho goes to zero limit, this actually this can't go to the causal erasure. It is always in the causal scattering. So these two things are calculated in the same regime, right? So that's why this this GCS or causal scattering of e to the power 2 rho must have this singularity, and we have checked that is true. Okay. Next, we have shown that the coefficient of this bulk point singularity is related to the flat space S matrix that is happening in the bulk. So, as we said that in the causal scattering regime, in the bulk, the scattering can take place. We have localized the scattering in the very small region in the bulk, and that F sigma is related to this flat space S matrix. Okay. So later, after taking this rho goes to zero limit, we have taken sigma goes to zero limit again. Okay, that is, we are again accessing the Regge limit, but in reverse order. So there, this bulk point singularity will persist, but this F sigma has this sigma behavior, and accordingly, the flat space S matrix will have this h to the power A behavior. We have shown that this, if the corresponding flat space S matrix in the bulk, if this has h to the power A behavior, the corresponding bulk 4-point function in the boundary 4-point function will have this sigma to the power A minus 1 behavior. Okay, so this equality we have checked. Now you can see that both these limits, that first taking rho goes to zero limit and then sigma goes to zero limit, and previously we have taken only sigma goes to zero limit first. So since there is a commutation of limits, the sigma power is in general different. Okay, this can be different, but we believe for many cases this is equal. But we have explicitly checked that A must be less than equal to A prime. Okay. This so in known cases A is equal to A prime, but it is definitely true that A is less than equal to A prime. And also, since now this path is totally clear for the proof, that we have said that in causal-Regge regime the chaos bound is valid, and that says that A prime must be less than equal to 2. So this is a statement for the crash bound paper that A prime is less than equal to 2. So that constrains this A prime, and accordingly that this A prime in this causal scattering regime, and this causal scattering regime, a sigma behavior is related to this sigma, and that gives you this relation. So that leads to the final step, that is A is less than equal to 2. So where we have seen this A is this part. So that is the flat space S matrix. So flat space, if the in Regge limit flat space S matrix goes as h to the power A, this definitely it should grow slower than S square. So that says that if any interaction in the boundary violates chaos bound, that will definitely violate CRG. Okay. I will roughly go through the first and the second step. That is the Regge limit and the bulk point limit. The first one is the Regge limit. If you take the Regge limit, this H is that grand function which is the function of complex A, and that reduces to GCS and GCR. That is the causal scattering 4-point function or causal Regge 4-point function. So this is the a particular analytic function, and here we are showing the analytic continuation you have to do. The upper region in this in this e to the power 2 row variable access the A greater than 1 region, and this is the A less than 1 region. You start from A greater than 1 answer and then do this analytic continuation, you reach the another answer. So that means if a function is not 0 in the causal scattering region, it will not be 0 in the causal Regge region. So this is a very important statement which we have used in the proof. Okay. So now this is the bulk relation to the bulk point singularity with the boundary correlation structure. Here you can see that this is the only place where it depends on rho, and this is the same bulk point singularity. Everything else depends on sigma. Okay, everything else is fixed except this function. We will explain what this function is, and this the whole coefficient of this rho to the power this bulk point singularity is f of sigma we have used previously. So how to calculate this S tilde is, first you start with the you take the flat space S matrix and calculate the flat space S matrix with these proposed polarizations, or for the scalar field you use e to the power ikx. Okay, and these are the boundary polarizations. So you use this and divide by the omega to the power r, that is the energy to the power r, if you have r derivative in the interaction. Okay, that you take, and if you divide it by this omega to the power r, this is only function of theta, and that input you put. So this is the input from the flat space bulk, and then you get the boundary correlation structure. Okay, so this is how it is related to the, so boundary correlation structure is related to the flat space in leading order. For the scalars, it matches with the previous result derived in this references. For the spinning cases, we have derived it. So to summarize, we have done this calculation for this contact interaction only for the massless particles. So it is very important to see that the same conjecture holds true for the exchange diagram, and whether it's true or it violates in the loop diagram. That is we are doing right now. We have taken now a very important point in this proof is we have taken flat space limit of ADS and ADS CFT conjecture to show just and also quantum structure of the boundary to show a classical theorem in the bulk. Okay, so it would be very satisfying to get a direct bulk argument in flat space, which will also be true for the flat space or DS. Okay. It is also interesting to see that you just put the classical string scattering amplitude instead of that S tilde, and then what kind of boundary structure it keeps. Okay, and then the next very important thing is to go for the quantum Regge growth conjecture, which says that the S matrix cannot grow at all, and it will be bounded by h to the power 0. Sharp boundaries paper gives a very good starting point for this quantum version, and also it will be very important to see what happens for the massive external particles. So we have assumed massless particles in the problem. We should use the massive particles. One problem with the massive particle is there is a huge energy separation between the longitudinal mode and the transverse mode. So the ADS curvature gets mixed up with the transverse mode S matrices, and it is very hard to filter only the transverse mode S matrix. So thank you for the.
Thanks, Suman. Questions, please. Yes, Arnab, please.
Hi. So I have a very quick question, probably. So you talked about essentially some connection between scattering, how reject growth should happen with the chaos bound. My question is sort of tangential to this, but so whenever you talk about chaos bound, etc., it's in terms of some correlation function, which in the field theory or in CFT involves some complicated contour like Keldysh, etc., right? So is there a geometric way of seeing what might be happening in the bulk scattering process corresponding to that, that contour structure? Is it possible to see this Keldysh contour structure in the bulk scattering somehow? Or is that a bad question?
Yes, definitely. No, the chaos bound calculates only OTOC. Okay, so there is that is the bound is on the OTOC, but you can do a code, you can do an analytic, you can go to Rindler space, and the same insertion points which are OTOC in the angular quantization becomes a time-like correlator in the bulk. Okay, so in the Rindler space it becomes time-like, not time-like but time-ordered correlator. So and that's how it is related to the scattering amplitude you are calculating in the bulk. So that is actually discussed in the appendix of that chaos bound paper. That I mean, you can access the time-ordered correlator from the OTOC using Rindler coordinate transforms.
Okay.
Is that
I actually had slightly different thing in mind, but okay, maybe I can ask you later. Okay, thanks.
Arnab, maybe I could just say
Sure,
what
sure.
Shuman said again, but maybe say it again, which is that, whether something is time ordered or out of time ordered depends on your definition of time.
Yes.
Now, suppose we take a two-dimensional plane and we do an angular quantization or an ordinary quantization.
Okay.
So a path integral that represents an out of time ordered correlation function in angular quantization could well represent a time ordered correlation in ordinary quantization. And this is the case in this situation. The situation is out of time ordered in angular quantization, which is where you use the chaos bound, but it's ordinary time ordered in just global quantization, which is where you use the scattering.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Okay. Thank you.
All right. If there are no other questions, let's thank Suman again for